When I race, they take my time. Otherwise, I take my time.
Alright, no. I think we've seen enough of that, haven't we? So when you take a look back at all the drivers that we've had in the sport in the 70-year history of Formula 1, it may confuse some new fans that one of the biggest characters has no character at all. And yet, despite this, we find it hard not to love Kimi Raikkonen, whether it's his drunk antics at FIA prize giving, or perhaps it's his post-race interviews.
I know it's a pain, but is there any way you could take your glasses off?
No. You better do it quickly, otherwise I go inside, so.
Right, okay.
Or maybe it's just his legendary team radio rants.
Down. Hey, stop late now. Say, copy.
But that's the thing, is it too late now? Is Kimi's time up? Hey there guys, I'm Will and welcome to FP1, and today I thought it might be a good idea to sit down and have a chat about Kimi Raikkonen. The Finn is currently partaking in his 18th season of Formula 1 with Alfa Romeo, and at the age of 40 it makes him the oldest driver on the current grid. And to really put that into context for you, Lando Norris was 1 year old when Kimi stepped up to Formula 1 with Sauber in 2001. Like, he was 1! What is that? But Kimi's 2020 season hasn't really gotten off on the strongest foot, and so today I thought it'd be a good idea to go over the start of this year's campaign and discuss really whether he deserves to stay in the sport for another year. But before we do start, make sure you do go and drop this video a like, subscribe, and let me know what you think on all this down in the comments below. I do try to respond to each and every one of you, so yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. There's also the video that you suggested I do over on Twitter, so if you want to get involved in those sorts of things in the future, you can find all the relevant links to that down in the description below. But with all that out of the way, let's get into things. So let's begin by looking at Kimi's wheels this year, the Alfa Romeo C39, and yeah, it's basically a load of dog shit. Now, if you're into the technical side of things, I did a video analysing it before testing back in February, so I'll link that down below, but long story short, Alfa didn't really come out of the box with anything particularly special, and their lackluster testing pace only really seemed to confirm that. After the highs of 2018, where Charles Leclerc took the car to 8th in the standings, the team's been falling away from the rest of the midfield pack, and add to that a Ferrari engine that actually abides by the rules, and now we're seeing a car that isn't quick on the straights and fares no better in the corners either. Next, we've got to talk about Kimi's teammate, Italian Antonio Giovinazzi. Now, Gio, it must be said, had a pretty poor start to his F1 career, but has steadily improved over 2019, and this year he does appear to have picked up where he left off, and though I don't believe Ferrari will keep it in that Alfa seat next year, he's still doing a fairly good job given the machinery he's in. Kimi, on the other hand, has almost gone the other way, and as Gio has been improving, he seems to be falling back more and more. Let's just take his performances race by race this season and just see if we can analyse what on earth's going on here. As the Alfa Romeo team got back into the swing of things for the 2020 season, it became very apparent how utterly the car was. Gio and Kimi would struggle in qualifying, ended up P18 and P19 respectively. Both cars would move up the order in the race, though mainly due to everyone ahead of them blowing up. Kimi would even be as high as P12 before one of his tyres got bored of going so slow and thought it might be faster off the car rather than on it. This would force Kimi into retirement while his teammate would come home to finish in P9, claiming today Alfa's only points of the season. Round 2 of the season in stereo was, in fairness, better for Kimi. Though he did still fail to get the Alfa car out of Q1, he would still qualify a season best 16th and several places ahead of Giovinazzi. The race was also better, with the Finn narrowly missing out on points in 11th and staying ahead of his teammate. So was Kimi on the up then? Nah. Sadly, this is where things really start going downhill. The Hungarian GP has always been a good race for Kimi Raikkonen. I mean, the Finn's got 8 podiums at the track and has generally fared well there. Well, he did until 2020 at least. Unfortunately, comparing this stat to his performance this year really just shows how Kimi has fallen off the pace in recent seasons. He would qualify dead last, and although he made it up to P15 in the race, this was mainly helped by post-race penalties and drivers ahead blowing up, and now we get to Silverstone where things get unbelievably even worse. Round 4 was by far Kimi's worst weekend of the season, and with Silverstone being a power track as well, it was always going to be difficult to get anything with a Ferrari engine up there in the first place. Kimi would find himself on the penultimate row once again and being beaten by his teammate again. In the race, Kimi would abide by the words in that bloody awful Alfa Romeo advert, taking his time and looking more like he was driving the school run than competing in the Formula 1 race. Now, yes, in fairness, the team did mess up on strategy, but he never really looked to have the pace of Giovinazzi. Raikkonen would end the race as the only car not on the lead lap, with the tail end of his Grand Prix being marred by yet another part of his Alfa Romeo just giving up and falling off the car. So if this continues for the rest of the season, I personally just don't see a reason for Kimi to be retained by the team, 2007 world champion or no. But perhaps this isn't the end of Kimi Raikkonen in Formula 1, and this brings me on to my next point, and something I think we've been building up to for quite some time now. So let me take you back to nearly 2 years ago. The date is September 11th, 2018, and the then Sauber Formula 1 team have just shot the paddock by announcing they've signed 2007 world champion Kimi Raikkonen. Now around this time there was a lot of speculation as to why Kimi wouldn't just retire, and one of the biggest rumours was that Raikkonen had a clause in his contract to race for the team for 2 years before moving more to a management role. Now, to be clear, none of this was ever confirmed, and said rumours do appear to have been forgotten about, but could we just see Kimi move into a role that allows him to maybe mentor up-and-coming talent coming into Formula 1? As I said earlier, I don't really see Gio staying at Alfa for another year. He's currently in that seat that Ferrari control, and despite him making steady improvements in recent months, I just don't see him as part of Ferrari's great master plan of world domination going forward. Also, with a whole host of junior talent impressing in Formula 2, it would kind of be mad for Ferrari not to promote at least one of them into F1 next year, and sadly Gio's going to be the first on the chopping block. And frankly, I can really see a scenario where we might even have 2 Ferrari juniors at Alfa Romeo in 2020, with Kimi Raikkonen either in a mentorship role or replacing Kubica as test and reserve driver for the team. Who would these Ferrari juniors be, you ask? Well, it's early days, but given his exciting start to the season, Robert Schwartzman really wouldn't be a bad option and must be a serious contender for an F1 seat next year. As for the other driver, I'm going to go for the more obvious, yet probably unpopular choice of Mick Schumacher. Mick has had an okay time in F2, picking up a couple of podiums and 1 win, but it's fair to say he isn't really setting the world alight like he was in Formula 3 a few years back. But then again, perhaps he was cheating if you take Dan Ticktum's word for it. But anyway, let's say Schwartzman and Schumacher... Shoemaker? Who's Shoemaker? Who the is Shoemaker? Come on, Will. But anyway, let's say Schwartzman and Schumacher do step up to Alfa next year, and that's a situation that benefits pretty much everyone. Well, except Giovinazzi, of course. From Ferrari's point of view, they get to assess its junior drivers at the highest tier of motorsport. Alfa get 2 very exciting hotspots for the future, and Kimi still keeps a foothold in F1, except he no longer needs to be the face of that team and take part in as many promotional events, which we all know he thoroughly enjoys. We also can't talk about this Alfa seat without mentioning Sergio Perez. The Mexican's thought to be lockdown driver at Aston Martin next year is looking less and less secure day by day, and there have also been rumours that he's been in talks with Alfa if he does get that boot from that team. Alfa, who of course were the Sauber team back in the day, also gave Perez his break in 2011, so, you know, he's got links with that team already. Hell, I mean, Nico Hülkenberg could even be an option. He said he's in discussions with teams over a drive in 2021, so you just really never know in Formula 1. But hey, those are just my thoughts on this whole situation, so let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think Kimi has earned another year in F1, and if not, who would you like to see take that Alfa seat for next year? Now, like I said at the start, please do consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel as well. We've had a load of new subscribers recently, so I'd just like to take the time to welcome all of you and hope you are enjoying the content just as much as I enjoy making it for you guys. But yeah, that's all from me. I will see you again on Sunday to talk through my instant reactions of the 70th anniversary Grand Prix. But until then, have a good one, guys.